Pat's going to need subtitles for Philly.
Yeah, I don't know what he's saying. It's
Can you hear me
repeating.
now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah.
But you need to turn off one. You need to turn off the other one. The laptop.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus, God.
Please say we're recording.
Bring back RTE, all is forgiven.
Yeah. The last time I worked with Joe was the 2019 drawn final when he inappropriately touched me on my tie and got the bullet.
I don't know why, Joe and Pat, you don't go and do a county team. So you fellas know so much about it. Why don't you put your great theories into practice?
Because nobody has offered me €150,000 a year to do it, Colm.
Dublin are not Derry. Right, that's the first thing.
Let's get that clear.
It was very decent of you, Colm, not to respond to Philly in fluent Latin there.
Isn't there a message there, lads, that dinosaurs, us dinosaurs, still have a role to play in Gaelic football?
Who's going to win the All-Ireland?
Wait, hold on, Pat. Hold on a second here. Hold on.
I haven't felt like this since my first son was born.
Yeah. Joe and Pat were irreplaceable. RT didn't realise they had it so good.
Thanks, Colin. He never said that when we were live on air.
Welcome. It is All-Ireland final weekend. It is All-Ireland football final weekend, and we have got a blockbuster show coming up. That's right, we have reunited Joe Brolly, Pat Spillane and Colm O'Rourke, and that is coming up. But right now we're going to get straight into Dublin v Kerry, because Philly McMahon, this is it. This is what you must miss the most now. This is the Saturday of All-Ireland final weekend. Like, would you be nervous now at this stage, or would you just be ready to rock?
It's the first final that I basically building the kind of a build up to it, not having played. So I've obviously last year was a semi-final, we got beaten by Kerry. So this is the first final, and I suppose for me, without disrespecting any other county, the two best counties are now in the final, the two best footballing teams, and I'm really buzzing for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough in terms of, like, you're not disrespecting anybody. I think if you're a neutral, now that we're removed enough from the All-Ireland semi-finals, I can say I'm going to sit back now and enjoy this. Like, it is the two teams that you want to see going at it. Like, and you're right, they do play the best football as well. And to that end, we're going to get stuck into a bit of analysis here. Before we bring on Joe, Pat and Colm, we're going to have a look at how we think this game might pan out. So the thing I'm worried about from a Dublin point of view, maybe not worried, but I just don't know if they're going to take the opportunity, because we had Gareth McKinless on last week and he was talking to us about how when Kerry were dropping back, like, that's what they wanted to do with their players. They wanted to drop them back into these positions, but what Derry did simply was match them up. So that meant that they were able to, no matter where a Kerry player went, Derry were matching them up all over the pitch, and eventually that just gave them 1v1s all over the pitch as well, because that's what they wanted to do. I wonder if Kerry are dropping these players back, will Dublin bring those men forward for 1v1s? The way that we showed it can work, and we know that Dublin, more than anybody really, can go at teams 1v1, especially if they're going to bring certain people off the bench as well. Or will Dublin maybe be a bit more conservative and just bring men back just to mind the house a little bit, or are they thinking we don't need to push up that much?
I think there's two things. Dublin are not Derry. Right? That's the first thing.
Let's get that clear before we do it.
They have 6 forwards that would light up any game. Okay, so they don't really need to attack as much from the defence with defenders or midfielders, although those players also can attack and also can cause problems for Kerry's defence. I would imagine when you just push those players up, what you can see is that if when Derry got their 1v1s and they were getting the goal chances because they were getting runners off the shoulder, what ultimately happened then after that was you seeing Kerry go the opposite way, counter the space and get a goal. So the crucial thing here is when Dublin will attack, I'd imagine, not saying they're going to do it, but I would imagine if it was me, I'd make sure that they would have either a sweeper here, because I mean Clifford will be he'll be the last man up there. His possible man marker for me would probably be Mick Fitz, and I do think you need to have some sort of numerical advantage, so maybe it's a sweeper there, but Dublin have enough power without anybody else going forward So they might have a couple of players hovering around the midfield in case there's a counter, in case there's a turnover, and they're structured.
It's a very good point. So maybe I am looking at it too much through a Derry prism, where Derry needed to get control of the ball. And in fairness to me, I'm going to do a half victory lap after the Tyrone game, before the Derry game. I was saying Derry won't go off on their own. They'll control the ball, they'll push Kerry up into this shape, and then they'll get them 1v1. But you're saying Dublin don't need to be that slow. They can just get it into the...
That's still what they will take from the Derry game is go for goals.
Yeah.
Go direct, because they will get an extra player with Morley dropping off as a sweeper. So my question is, who are they going to put on Morley? Right, they're actually going to get a forward to mark Morley.
Yeah.
So that then when Morley drops off, that player becomes free. So where do you get, who picks up this player? Because the fellas the other 5 players are so potent that they'll need to be watched. So they have to get it from the midfield, or they have to get it from a wing forward point of view. And then that's where you go, okay, a midfielder on a possible Paddy Small or Gaelic and Kenny or Con O'Callaghan.
Yeah. And you're also
that's a mixed match.
James McCarthy or Brian Fenton.
And James McCarthy. Yeah, so that's where the difference between Dublin and Derry is that Derry will have a mix of scorers like Dublin, but they won't have the potency that Dublin have in terms of individual players. And also, like Kerry, 55% of their scores, I think, has come from O'Shea and Clifford, whereas the spread with Dublin is there, and that's why they're so dangerous going forward. So as much as Kerry will have the extra player, I still think they have a lot more questions to answer to keep the Dublin forwards and offence quiet. Okay, I'm going to have a look at a key part to Kerry's, I would say, strategy going forward for Sunday. So obviously we know the key threat is Clifford, but for me, the difference between Dublin and Derry, which is obviously Kerry's last game, is that a lot of the time the players around Clifford were finding it very hard to create space on the basis that Derry had a mass defence. Okay, so automatically you'll think as a Dublin management or players, right, let's do our homework on the key threat, which is Clifford. However, I think if you do that and you neglect the other lads around, which are really good quality players, you're gonna cause issues. So for me, I'm gonna go right back to Shane Ryan's kickouts for this, because I think this is crucial. The first half, Shane Ryan, his kickouts went all short, in around just inside that 45-metre line, particularly to his right, but he had a good mix in between right and left. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that Derry dropping off? Maybe it was. But what happened was they got 1-2 from that, okay? The second half, the kick-out strategy changed slightly and they didn't get as much joy. Derry then started getting players into this zone here in the second half, into this zone here where you see number 40 in Dublin, and they start getting turnovers and then countering, okay? So here's what I would do. I'm not saying this is exactly what Dublin would do, but here's what I do to negate Clifford. I would essentially say, okay, if you're going to go either zonal as a defence, like this, or possibly, I'll just pull him across here. So let's say you're going to go zonal, which you're basically trying to get Shane Wright to kick long. You have Fenton and McCarthy in midfield that are really, big players for Dublin on the day. But if they don't push Shane Ryan long, and they go short. So let's say it goes short. What I would be trying to get, don't mind the numbers on the Dublin colours here, but what I'd be trying to do here is I'd be trying to get him pushed to one side. So if Shane Ryan kicks to the number 7 here, which would be away, what I would be saying is, as we see in the last day when McCaig was marking Clifford wants to make this run out to his left. Yeah?
Yeah.
We see him just under the hill 16 there, where Clifford got the ball. McCaig was right up behind him, but he was still turning on his left. And that's an obvious one that, your left footer, you want him to turn his left. But let's say Mick Fitz is the man marker, I would have a sweeper here. I'd have this kind of line of forwards pushing the Kerry player over to the sideline, and then your options are limited. I'd have Cluxton coming off his line a little bit in case Clifford spins him. You have Cluxton there, so really If Mick Fitz is the man that's going to do the job, he's marking the straight run. Oh, the screen is moving. He's marking the straight run, and then he's pushing him towards that sweeper.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you're cutting him off, and then obviously you're getting everybody coming down the blind side to make sure that you're not neglecting the lads that are, the O'Sheas, and also the lads that are kind of coming from the opposite blind side.
Is this where Kerry need to have a real think about their setup? Because I think Dublin can have this man knowing that Adrian Spillane is going to be out the pitch, knowing that Dara Moynihan is going to be out the pitch, and let's be honest, knowing they're not as big a threat as some of the other players you're talking about.
Yeah.
But if Kerry make that change, like we saw Stephen O'Brien coming in at half time against Derry, Killian Spillane's back, they could be a bit more positive. Maybe it's a bit too gung ho, but it would definitely make Dublin think twice about that player.
Like Dublin would be looking at how do we benefit from Morley dropping off. I think Kerry will look at how do we benefit from this man. I don't know who that's going to be. Throughout the years, it's Johnny Cooper, it's Cian O'Sullivan. It possibly could be Brian Howard. But ultimately this man, why is this important? Why is the shape of the forwards here important? Well, Kerry want to play a fast game. They want to play a kicking game, they want to play a fast game, and they want to get that ball straight into this man here. And whether he's the one taking the scores or you've got lads coming off a shoulder, they will generally look at, Kerry traditionally will look for this ball in top of the D.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous ball you could give in, and it's the most dangerous ball to try to defend, because ultimately you can have runners coming off him, but also you can have a couple of different options in terms of you're inside the scoring zone, left or right of you. And if you turn, you're so close to the goal as well. But for me, I personally think, Dublin are going to have to focus on this man here, but not as much as everybody thinks, because I think the lads around them, as I said, O'Shea, he's possibly going to think that he's going to be free based off the sweeper, but I think the sweeper's going to come from not the six, but possibly from either a wing forward, or if Howard is starting midfield, he's going to drift in from there.
Yeah. And finally, these guys here, you have them in that line deliberately, do you? In that shape deliberately, because you're trying to ward off that ball going down there?
Yeah, no, you're trying to, I would say, like when you dictate the flight plan of the Kerry ball coming out, so let's say, as I said, they don't win, Dublin don't win the ball on their zonal shape, or maybe on a long kick out.
Yeah.
The odd time, as I said, Ryan will go short. So what's crucial is that this Dublin defence, for me this Sunday, dictates where they want the kicker to go, and then how that ball can be kicked in. So there's very little options there. Like, so if the sweeper's here, and the +1 is there, Clifford can only get that straight ball down the channel there. And let's be honest, for a defender, especially if a defender like Mick Fitz, if again I'm just trying to predict that Mick Fitz is going to be the guy that's marking him, a straight ball is what you want to attack.
Yeah.
You don't want diagonal balls. And as I said, Cluxton's that good that he can come out and kind of block off that side a little bit. But so what happens secondary then? What's the secondary movement? Is that, again, we're just using number 7 here, Gavin White, he comes down, kicks not on, looks up, Clifford's blocked off here on the right side, and then you have your sweeper here on the left side. Only ball he can possibly get is here in this corner.
Yeah.
That cuts the two players out. But also, it's like, right, I've got two players, I've got him chasing me here, and I'm in the corner, and I've also got a sweeper coming in here. I can't really, unless I take these two players on, and taking two Dublin players on defensively, maybe other counties you get away with it, but no, I don't think you take two Dublin players on in that position. Yeah. So White has to come back. He has to ship the ball around, unless he gets by 1v1 on a player, but he has to basically come back around.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Kerry will be okay with that. They'll be patient on the ball. But I do think it slows the momentum. It slows the game down. And if they turn it over, then you're dragging these players up the pitch by not kicking the ball, by them carrying the ball. You're dragging these players out the pitch, which is what Dublin want, because when we seen them against Monaghan the last day, every time they turned them over, particularly over here in the Cusick side, just where this number 9 here is, you could see once they turned them over, they were going in 2s and 3s, and basically Monaghan was stumbling in terms of defensively. So that's what Dublin want. Dublin want to create space so that they can get the likes of Conor Callahan, if it's Paddy Small, Kilkenny, Paul Mannion, all going for goal. Costello, the whole lot of them.
That's brilliant, Philly. Very, very interesting. let's get the guys in. We're going to get Joe Brolly, Pat Spillane and Colm O'Rourke in to chat to us right now. What a pleasure it is to have these three guests on the show. Three icons of the sport, three of the biggest household names in GAA. You know, you'd have to say...
Keep it up.
keep it going, Colin. Doing well.
Yeah.
if Beyonce was getting away with having a first name because everybody recognised her, then you know these guys are definitely the Irish people who would get away with it most. It's Joe, Pat, and Colm. No need for surnames. Welcome to the show, lads.
The boy band
Thanks,
is
Colin.
back.
I'm coming over all teary here.
Yeah.
That was.
Is this the first time you
I haven't felt like this since my first son was born.
Yeah.
Tell me, is this the
Beatles
first
getting
time
back
you've been
together.
together, is it? Yeah.
This is. I think the last time I worked with Joe was the 2019 drawn final when he inappropriately touched me on my tie and got the bullet and saved my skin. And I was trying to think about it. Maybe the lads will know. When last did we work together, Joe, Colm, and myself? I'd say 6 years, 7 years.
Wow,
Incredible.
Because you see, whenever your man came in, his first mission, you know, was to separate us and to destroy that sort of conviviality that had been part of. You know, Garrison Keillor said the secret of great television is false friendship, people liking you in their living rooms, and his first mission was to break that up. And you know what he actually said to me when he was sacking? He said, "And at 5 minutes to 3, you inappropriately."
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Told Pat to stop patting your leg.
Actually, the only good thing
Not many
about
people asked Pat to stop patting their leg.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
The only good thing about it was that when Joe saved my because I was getting the bullet first. I was the first to get my P45, and Joe saved me. I got 2 more years thanks to Joe. Thank you, Joe.
do you actually think that, Pat? Like,
The reason
do I
they
think
wanted to
it?
get
I
rid
know
of me- The reason they wanted to get rid of me was because I was the highest paid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Colm,
Colm lucky I just walked away before the gun was fired.
Colm, it's just like old times. You can't get a word in edgeways with these two.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the only thing about it, I understood that very well for about 20 years and survived on it.
Listen,
Yeah, Colm, remember?
wait, hold on, Pat. Hold on
Yeah.
a second here. Hold on. This is a dub giving a Mead man a compliment. Congratulations, Colm, on the Charlton Cup.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Colm.
I
Congratulations.
didn't think the Dubs would even recognise the Tailteann Cup as a proper competition.
Well, I was doing work with BBC on, and it was a brilliant game. And you know, you discovered a lot of young talent coming through there. You have 2 Ivan Dragos there.
Yeah.
That are really good players. But yeah, no, it was a good game. Really enjoyed it, and congratulations.
Thank you. I think there's more to come from them. We brought in 13 fellas who hadn't played championship before this year, so it was a bit of a revolution. But the Tailteann Cup allowed that. It gave us the time and space to blood fellas, and a lot of them will get better.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's a message there, lads. You know,
It was very decent of you, Colm, not to respond to Philly in fluent Latin there.
was that planned, Colm? Was that planned afterwards?
Well, not really. It just happened to be. I don't think you ever plan an interview after a match because you're pretty excited. But you know, I sort of figured you could say all the fucking stupid things, like, you know, we knew it was going to be a tough game, and we're delighted to get out. And at the end of the day, oh Jesus, we spared all that shite.
But lads, isn't there a message there, lads, that us dinosaurs, still have a role to play in Gaelic football, still know a lot about Gaelic football, and we saw 2 dinosaurs this year, supposed dinosaurs. Colm leading his team to Tailteann Cup, and Max Day leading Mayo to Division 1 title. So fuck it, lads. Do you know what is it?
You're going in for the job next, Pat, are you? If O'Connor steps aside, are you?
No, oh Jesus Christ, no. I'll keep talking. But you know what? What is it? The older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune. There's life after 60, even in television land.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, Pat, because obviously, Colm is a good proof of going into management. But even I think you guys, television-wise, maybe I'm just growing up a little bit. But you said there's 7 years that you've last been on, and I do think, not to blow too much smoke up your backside, I think that's a testament that I'm there able to still introduce you as Joe, Pat, and Colm. 7 years later, it probably shows what's happened in between. Not a whole pile, and like, you know, I used to complain away about the boys on the Sunday game, but now I realise I like complaining about these boys. Like, there's something that almost transcends.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Joe and Pat were irreplaceable. RT didn't realise they had it so good.
Thanks, Colm. He never said that when we were live on air.
What about the replacements? What about the punditry world now? The dynamics of it that's changed. What's your view on that at the minute?
Get behind me, Satan.
Any pundits that you really like, or pundits that you...
I always think that unless people are talking about people and saying, I don't bloody well agree with him, or he's a fool, or that's a stupid comment to make, or whatever. But people on the show have to make comments which are going to generate some controversy, some conversation, some debate. Otherwise, you have pure blandness.
And I agree with Colm. I mean, what we get nowadays in all sports analysis on all TV stations is generic and bland. And it's a bit like having a fucking McDonald's, you know, it satisfies a need and an hour later you're starved. You watch modern day sports analysis now and an hour later you haven't a fucking clue what they said. But by Jesus, when Colm was on or when Joe was on, they were talking about us Monday, they were talking about us Tuesday, and they were still talking about us Wednesday. And fucker, that meant we were doing a good job.
Yeah, I used to say these lads haven't a fucking clue what they're talking about, but you just had a little bit of, I was only joking, by the way, but just had, what I really enjoyed when I was listening to you was some of your information was actually really interesting, because you're kind of going, is he going to fly in the wall there in the change room? And then some of it was miles away, but that's punditry. You're never going to get 100%, you know. So that's what I really enjoyed with the three lads.
I think that the secret of it, if you watch, for example, the NBA's coverage, which is brilliant, they have Shaquille O'Neal and Barkley and one other, and they're the same group all the time. And it's that sense of being comfortable with people in your living room. I mean, my Keeler's test was, you know, false friendship. You know, would people be comfortable having you in their living room? And my sort of test is a variation on that. Is it the sort of conversation you would enjoy being part of in the pub or in the clubhouse? You know, I mean, and the way the game's being discussed nowadays in the Sunday game, which is very formulaic, you go, and it's also, you know, they all dress like Mormons or like those non-denominational pastors who marry people nowadays.
Yeah, no, the Amish.
And an awful lot of it is fashion. You know, Neil Postman wrote a book about this called "Amusing Ourselves to Death," about trivializing things like our sport. But if you went into the clubhouse in Ballymun and you started talking about football the way it's talked about at the moment in RT, people would be saying, "Is that fella all right? You know, is he mentally well?"
Could you imagine having a big chat in the pub tonight about the benefits of the low block and the mid block and the backdoor cut and the process? Oh, for fuck's sake, lads.
Yeah. You're talking about the ducks there, Pat.
Don't get me started. Jeez, don't get me started.
That was a script for 10 years.
Yeah. I think the essential part that's been lost is that the game is tribal and it's about us and it's about our characters. And of course, that, you know, let's look at the great Dublin team that Philip was part of, or, you know, the great teams that the two boys were a part of. You know, I don't think the Meath team gets as much credit as it deserved, because they were an extraordinary team. And Colm, for me, is one of the 10 greatest Gaelic footballers. Obviously, Pat's there as well. Not me, albeit that in one of Pat's 7 autobiographies.
It's October the 19th, Joe, by the way. October the 19th.
He put me, I think it was his 3rd autobiography.
I put you on the best 15.
He put me at his best ever 15.
Yeah, okay. That was a mistake.
Have you lost your mind?
Yeah, that was a mistake, Joy. That was a mistake, hands up.
I won't have a bad word said about you, brother. I'm growing up watching this man in the 90s and that little the undercut run
Dublin
used to
team. You look at the
You
Dublin team.
come here.
Played on. The most interesting thing about them was the characters, the strength of character, the differences. You know, the way they brought war to the game, and then after a year or two managed to control that. And you know, we can then put these sophisticated descriptions on them, and we can then get into all this coach speak. It's very easy. It's very easy because the media then begins to dictate that, and then people feel, well, if you're not speaking about the game in that way,
you know nothing.
You're inadequate and you don't understand the game. And so it's very easy to become part of an orthodoxy that can be very, very bland.
I don't know why, Joe and Pat, you don't go and do a county team. So you fellas know so much about it. Why don't you put your great theories into practice?
Because nobody has offered me €150,000 a year to do it, Colm.
Colm, our talent shouldn't be confined to just one county.
Colm, the lads talked about fashion there. What about the fashion sense of the Meath lads after the game? Who was the one that picked that out?
Yeah, was it? Did you approve?
No, definitely not. I thought they were going farming. They had these brown shoes on, these like
the dub coming out, you know,
tan type trousers, and I tell you what, I thought the fashion blew down to me a long time ago. It's still on the way down, isn't it?
Well, they picked it themselves, but most of them had the trousers and they were well up the backs of their legs. I thought that was the main thing, and that they were very tight. And that the t-shirt was tight and showed off their tattoos and muscles. I thought that was the sort of thing that, apart from that, you got away with anything.
You wouldn't see Pat and Joe with that outfit on it anyway.
No. Well, the only thing about it is I was quite happy with the way they played football. I wasn't too concerned about what they wore during, before, or after the game.
So the next question I think we want to get on to is the game this week. How do we think it's going to fare out?
Well, you better get the experts on board first.
So
Well, Colm, your Meath team has been walloped by Dublin on a number of occasions recently. You're probably best placed to give an analysis there.
Yeah, well, they did beat us by 10 points or 11 points in the league early in the year. And I said to James McCarthy after the match, I was being very polite. I just said, James, would you ever fuck off somewhere and retire and give the rest of the world a chance? And he smiled and said, yes, I will, after this year. And I think he's on a man on a mission. And it appears to me that the rest of them are on a mission as well. And I do have a feeling that by 5:30 on Sunday evening, it would be mission accomplished.
Oh, going for the Dubs. Interesting. Yeah. Joe and Pat, what do you think?
I know Joe's going for the Dubs, and it's by 6 points. I see him quoted as well. You know, I'll tell you this, lads. Look, I'm biased, and I will go for Kerry. But I will say, and we're not used to sitting on the fence. This is as hard the game, an All-Ireland final to call in recent years. Last year, I was firmly convinced Kerry would walk the All-Ireland last year, and they fell over the line. I could give as many arguments for Dublin to win as Kerry to win. I can find as many failings with Dublin as Kerry. I fancy Kerry, and I'll tell you why. You cannot underestimate what that win over Dublin last year in the semi-final meant to Kerry, because they were after 5 successive championship defeats by Dublin. And by beating Dublin, that was the monkey off the back. That gave them the confidence, that gave them the belief. And one thing about this Kerry team, prior to that, they were always losing close championship games. They didn't know how to get over the line. They hadn't that belief, that composure, that game management. It happened in 2019. That drawn game, Kerry had a chance to win that drawn game. They left it behind. It happened in 2020 with Cork inside in Páirc Keeve. They lost the close game. It happened in 2021 with Tyrone. They lost the close game in extra time to Tyrone. Last year, was the first time they got the Dublin monkey off the back and they won a close championship match. And I've looked at the two big matches they've played since, the two big close matches. They played Galway in the All-Ireland final. With 4 minutes to go, in the 66th minute, it was a draw. Kerry scored the last 4 points and won the All-Ireland. This year, against Derry, same thing, same composure, same belief. 59th minute, they're 2 points down and they outscore Derry 5-1. And that's why I see this is a Kerry team that have composure, that have belief, that have the game management, and that now have the leaders on the field. So that's why I'm going for Kerry.
The real heartbreaking thing about that, Pat, is that it was actually the 65th minute. I didn't realize until I watched it back that Derry were 2 points up with 5 minutes to go, and I was like, "Oh my! I shouldn't have even done this. I shouldn't have watched it back. They were so close." But to your point, Kerry were imperious after that.
And I can see what Colm is talking about. There's no doubt about it. There is that element of a last hurrah for a lot of those great Dublin players. This is their big match. But also, there's a huge onus on Kerry and a huge pressure on Kerry and a huge drive because remember, the last time Kerry beat Dublin in an All-Ireland final, 1985. That's a long time ago. That's a lot of hurt, a lot of disappointment since.
Yeah, but those lads probably weren't alive back then, so they probably won't have that hurt. Whereas these lads that have lost, the Dublin lads that have lost the last 2 years, is current hurt and it's current motivation, and it's much harder. To go back
Are you trying to outdo him and cute her?
No, I'm trying to talk about like the motivations.
Yeah.
Which team? Pat said really goodly, really importantly. You know, the motivations. Who's going to have to be motivated more? And I think Dublin will be, on the basis that they haven't won it in 2 years. And there's handfuls of pocketfuls of All-Irelands in that group. So when you become accustomed to winning, when it's not there anymore, you get very hungry. You get very greedy to try to go after it again. And having won it in 2 years, and the team that bet them in just last year, I think there's a different motivation. I'm not saying I disagree with anything Pat said there. I'm just saying the motivation. Again, taking me bias Dublin hat off, I know it's changing room. I'd prefer to be on the motivation side of things. It's the one that hasn't been fed, which is Dublin.
Yeah, but the thing about what Pat is saying there about Kerry and getting the monkey off the back, to me, they haven't shown much sign of kicking on from winning the All-Ireland last year when they were quite fortunate to win it. They haven't been very impressive in any of the games, and I thought that they would have improved further, and their over-reliance on one player has become even worse since that.
But funny that you say that, Colm. I actually... Pat, sorry, Joe. Keep going.
So, problem that Kerry has is also its greatest strength, which is that it is dependent on Clifford. His miraculous performance in the final last year, his performance in the semi-final against the Dubs. But, I mean, watching Dublin in that first 20 minutes of the second half against Mayo, and I had a beautiful seat right in the centre, it was frightening to see all of a sudden when they clicked and they pressed up. What they've been doing under Desi over the last few years was lateral, backwards, slow, not pressing. But as soon as they pressed, it was devastating, as it was whenever they pressed up on Monaghan in the last 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, even pressed the goalkeeper. And I suppose the when that happened, I think against Mayo, it must have been a flashback to the glory days when you were playing Philly, whenever Dublin were feverish up on top of you. And you look at their forward lines. I mean, they've got 5 stellar forwards who would walk onto any team in any era, who are two-footed, flying machines, powerful. Their midfield. And the only issues that the Dubs have now, which is unlike last year, which is there were confusing decisions on the sideline. You weren't sure what the selection was going to be. They were playing in a very lateral, slow way, unlike the Dubs. They had no Cluxton, who makes an enormous difference, just exuding that quality of leadership, and we will not be fucking beaten here, and the standards better be fucking high. The only decisions they have now to make are, does Kilkenny start and does McCaffrey start? And I predicted last week that Limerick would win by 9 points, and I'm predicting this week. The glamorous brunette said to me with a minute to go, "You're wrong, it's only 8." And I said, patience. You see, this is why I was paid the big money on RT, and my 2 boys were, actually on one occasion, I agreed.
You were right.
I agreed to take a cut so that they could have a wee bit more.
Yeah, but come here. Actually, you know, I was on a podcast the other evening with Conor McMahon. I was on a podcast with Conor McManus and Monaghan, and I was asking Conor, like, what did Monaghan do in their pre-game analysis, how to beat the Dubs? And he was very interesting because he talked about when Dublin get into that groove, when the hill is on song, the crowd are behind them, when Dublin hit the groove, they are unstoppable. They are impossible to beat. And he talked about the fact in 2014, he said, we came with a defensive plan, Monaghan to play Dubs. He said, I looked at the scoreboard, it was 4-all, 20-something minutes gone. And he said, 6 minutes later, he said, I think I looked at the scoreboard and it was something like 2-6 to 4 points. Dublin were gone out. Now, this year, I watched them against Sligo because I was up following my son playing for Sligo. And Sligo, for the first 18 minutes, were 1 point up. And the next minute, it was like as if Dublin pressed the switch. They pressed up on the kick out. They tackled like demons. But most importantly, they went at Sligo. Nothing lateral, nothing ponderous. And Gilroy was on the sideline shouting, take them on, take them on, take them on. And that second quarter, 1-11 to 1 point. They were just unbelievable. But just getting back to Kerry, I agree with what Colm says. Yeah, Kerry haven't kicked on this year, which I sort of had expected. And once or twice this year, one article in particular, I think it was after the Mayo game, saying, look, I'm worried about them. They haven't improved. They have no impact from the bench and they haven't found any new talent and you must have a new plan. And a member of the backroom staff sent me a cutting of a newspaper. And he just had highlighted the last paragraph. And his last paragraph, it stated, Munster finished 5th in the URC rugby. And what happened afterwards? They won it. Argentina lost the opening round of the World Cup to Saudi Arabia. They won it. His point, he said, this is about timing, Pat. This is about the 30th of July.
Interesting.
I mean, the Dubs were expert when it comes to that.
Yeah,
for years.
Philly will.
Well, I don't think you can time things in football like that. Like there wasn't much timing against Derry. Like if Derry had to hold their cool, and if the ref gave a dodgy decision,
yes,
to Kerry to bring them from 2 points back to 1. And Kerry, for the previous 10 minutes, to me, looked dead in the water. They had run out of ideas and they were playing very, very poorly. The ref gave an easy free, brought them back to 1 point, and then they started getting moving again.
Against a not great Derry team, Colm. You know, we are very proud of the team and what they've achieved and the way they work and their enormous application. But a whole lot of it is a carefully rehearsed system. 6 o'clock in the morning after morning for weeks on end, and we would not have anything like the quality of footballer that the Dubs have. I mean, not one of our forwards would make the Dublin forward line.
Oh, Shane McGuigan would, Joe.
He won't, because there are two reasons. There are two reasons that he can't. Sorry, Conan. There are 2 reasons that he wouldn't. 1, he can't run, and 2, he's one-footed. He's a very stylish left-footed kicker with that loop around on the outside, kicking off his left foot, or the wee dummy to come inside and kick off the left foot. He would not be able to hack it in that Dublin forward line. Their pace, their ability, each Dublin forward game. There's no way that Shane would make.
I think he'd be one of their best players. I think he.
Well, there's a huge media build up around Shane, and look, I have a great time for the lad. He's a very good footballer. But the way that he's been discussed at the minute is the way that you people were discussing Conor Glass last year, putting stuff on him that he simply wasn't capable to carry on his shoulders. One of the great midfielders of Ireland, all this stuff, which isn't true. And all it has done with Conor, it has damaged his confidence. And now he's shrinking into himself.
Yeah, I agree with Joe.
We have to be realistic about the players that we have in Derry. And I think that we have been brilliant. We've won 2 Ulsters in a row at a time when football in Ulster is mediocre. But like in the league final, it's Dublin this year. Whenever we were absolutely flying, Dublin cut us to pieces.
Yeah.
And
Joe, is Shane McGuigan not better than Colin Basquel or Paddy Small or Bugler? I don't think so.
Colin Basquel's inconsistent, and that's a mystery. I mean, everybody who sees Colin Basquel play says, "Look, this kid is sensational. His pace, his two-footedness. He can. He did it to Mayo. I've seen him do it in Dublin Championship matches. Potentially, potentially his potential is enormous. I don't know. I would say that Shane would be doing very well to get into that Dublin team, because apart from it, they're all speedsters, they're all flying machines, and Shane doesn't have that blistering pace. Now, if Shane had that blistering pace, like for example, you can be one-footed and be a great player. Pat was one-footed, but Pat was probably the fastest Gaelic footballer that ever played on the field, and you combine that with his power, his unique endurance. So
keep going, Joe. Keep going.
Like I remember the day. I remember the day that, or in Colm's case, if
now, Joe, you're ahead.
No, but in Colm's case, which he did to me one day in the National League.
Let's talk about Dublin and Kerry, will we?
Colm was left-footed too. I went to tackle him, and he just punched me in the face as he was coming through me.
Yeah.
Walked straight over the top of me and put it over the bar. So you can have those
traditional.
You can be all elbows and bones and dirt like Colm was, like you'd expect from a Leitrim farmer, or you can have Pat's blister and pace. But you can't be one-footed and not be pacey, or be 6'3" or 4" and extraordinary in the air. So Michael Murphy was one-footed, but he got away with it because of his power and his aerial ability.
But lads, is it?
Can I just jump in there? Sorry, Pat. 1 second. Joe, I just want to jump in there. I think I'm gonna disagree with McGuigan. The McGuigan point. I think McGuigan is one of the best players in the country for me. I don't disagree with would he get in the Dublin team? I don't think he would. I don't think he'd get in the I don't think he'd get in the Dublin full forward line.
I would, yeah.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. Well, put it this way. If you had
your pick, Mannion, Bastiel,
it's Con.
Yeah, Con.
By the way, again, I'm going to say I'm very biased here. Paddy Small is a McGuigan with power. I agree with Joe.
No, it's not the same.
No.
Listen for a second.
Philly, take off that Ballymun hat. Take off that Ballymun hat. Jesus.
The question you asked, Joe, like, would he be as good as Paddy Small or Basquel? I think if you think about it the other way, if you had those two players playing for Derry, would they stand out more, or would they stand out as much as him? That's the way I see it, the other way around, because it's very hard.
First of all, yeah.
But going back to the point of, can you get away with intercounty being one-footed, one-dimensional, and intercounty? The very, very, very good players can, because everybody knows Clifford is so balanced, but they'll know he's coming in on his left most of the time. But yeah, it's one of those things. I've practiced to block you on your left foot, but yet you're still getting a shot away, and you're still, because the best can do that.
Yeah,
but the best is balanced.
But just three things. First of all, that Joe eulogy about me, would that be possible to record and send it down to me that I can play it a couple of times?
That could be your next autobiography.
All of your autobiography.
That'd be lovely. Thanks, Joe. That'd be beautiful. Secondly, yeah, I would you're right about Shane McGuigan. He's a fine player. Is he in the top 10 forwards in Ireland? Like people were suggesting only a couple of weeks ago, he's as good as David Clifford. Christ, he's not at that standard at all. He's not in the top.
There's nobody at that standard, in fairness.
No, but he's not even in the top 10 forwards in Ireland. And I looked at him in the semi-final, and yeah, he had a great first half. But great players, when things are going against you, come to the fore. And in the second half against Kerry, he didn't even have one shot at goal. Like that's a bad match. And as regards Clifford, I mean, we can eulogise about Clifford all day long, and he's going to mainly kick on the left. But I don't know, maybe the boys will agree or disagree with me. But I have never seen a guy who can get away a kick with so little backlift as Clifford does.
I thought you said a guy that can kick himself in the head. That's what
Jesus is.
I can't believe we're here for the All-Ireland final, and you three are just ripping my stomach out. It's just like three trolls coming straight for my weekend,
Are we going to talk about the only important thing is Dublin and Kerry? And
go for it, Colm. Go for it. Talk about Dublin and Kerry there. Give us your.
Dublin have more better players than Kerry, I think, when it's all. And the two primary sources of ball on Sunday will be kickouts and turnovers. And for me, it's going to be interesting to see what are the policies going to be on the kickouts. Like Kerry didn't push up on the Derry kickout until very late in the game, which I found very surprising. And they gave Derry easy ball and allowed them to work it out. And Derry hurt them down the side. Now, Dublin pushed up more against Monaghan, but really only did it in the last 10 minutes. So it's going to be most interesting for me, who's going to be brave enough to start off and push up on there'll be 20-something kickouts from both sides. Who'll push up? And of course, you're not going to get away with it every time, but if you were able to get 40% of the kickouts, if one team is able to do that, they'll probably win the game.
I think Dublin will be the one that will push out Colm on the basis that Kerry predominantly went short against Derry in the first half and got 1-2 from their kickouts. And I do think, though, then the momentum will change on the basis of the energy of the game, because you can push up, you can play zonal, but when it's end to end, that controls and dictates the momentum of the game from a kick.
But actually, Philly, Conor McMahon said a very interesting, like he was talking about, right, how do you play the Dubs? He said the key is, he says, you've obviously possession is king. Game management is vital. He says you've got to slow the tempo. You've got to slow the tempo. And that's what they did for a long spell against the Dubs. I mean, the Dubs in the first half had only 34% possession in the first half. Throughout the 70 minutes, they had only 48% possession. But you know what he highlighted? It was a difference. And he talked about the role of goalies. And he said against Dublin, we had Began, so it was 15 against 14. He says, Kerry have Shane Ryan, who is capable of coming out the field, got a pint in the semi-final, capable of doing 15 against 14. But he said, Dublin will not have that scenario because Cluxton does not come out. And he said, that is an advantage, Kerry, having that 15 versus 14, if you can utilise the goalkeeper properly. Just an interesting, I thought was an interesting observation.
Yeah, but the stats, Pat, on possession are useless stats when it comes to Monaghan, because Monaghan passed the ball over and back. Those sort of stats really, they don't count for anything. The only stats are the stats going forward from midfield up and the amount of scoring chances that you create.
Kerry don't play like Monaghan. Kerry will move the ball.
No,
but the destiny of the game for me lies with the Dubs. If the Dubs play that electric way and they push up and they press, teams aren't really used to that anymore. You know, teams are used to having it quite leisurely coming out of their defence.
Yeah.
Also, the Dubs have the best kick out in the game. I mean, his performance against Mayo was miraculous, and Mayo have a very good kick out press. There are two issues with Kerry. I think you double team Clifford. You don't leave it to chance. You don't say, look, we'll hope for the best, which Derry did, and he ended up being involved in either scoring or being involved in 10 or 11 points. You know, I would put Merchant at his feet. I would do what Jimmy McGuinness did whenever he had a dangerous forward. He would put Mark McHugh at his feet, and that just completely takes him out of the game, because I don't think the other Kerry forwards are of sufficient ability to take advantage. And then after that, it's for the Dubs to press up, because when they press up, they're electrifying.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that, Joe. Yeah. The only thing is, and I bring Philly into this. My observation, my belief is that Dublin defence are not the defence of old. There's no Keane O'Sullivan. There's no Philly. There's no Johnny Cooper. They don't have an out-and-out sweeper. And I just think that Dublin defence, that full back line, and I've seen them all year long, that full back line, and we saw them in the first half against Mayo, is vulnerable when run at, and is vulnerable under the high ball, and they can be got at.
I don't disagree with having a sweeper in front of Clifford, but I don't think it's Merchant for me. I think Merchant has to take up Paddy Clifford. But I think the biggest concern we have as the Dubs is that there's so much attention on Clifford. There's so much noise and in the media world around Clifford. Remember that you have other players that have serious quality in that forward line for Kerry that have been completely neglected. And there's a little bit of an ego, you know, in football world, where everything is being said about Clifford, and Geaney and Paddy and O'Shea are going, hold on a second here. We want a bit of this now. And the fact that they will have the space against Dublin that they didn't have against Derry will be the thing that I think the Dubs have to be very, very careful of. If you put all your eggs in one basket and say, Clifford, all your attention, you know, 90 or 80% of your attention is spent on Clifford, soon enough in the game, you'll find that other lads are starting to pick up the scores that he would have normally picked up.
You're right. Two things. You're right.
Everybody else picks up their man, Philly. Everybody else marks their man. It's not a question of neglecting other players. I mean, everybody else picks up their man. The thing about the Dubs at their height,
but they'll have more space, Joe. The Derry are mass defence.
Whenever you were playing for Dublin, you guys weren't thinking to yourselves, you know, you were saying, okay, look, that set needs to be dealt with, but you were playing your own game. And that's when you were at your best. If they got a score, if Philly McMahon, if Clifford got 4 points off Mick Fitzsimons, big deal. We'll outscore them, and we'll keep pressing and pressing and pressing and see what they're made of. And in the end of the day, that was what made the Dublin team great. And I think they've begun to rediscover that now after 2 years of very dull, boring football where they've just looked like schmucks like everybody else.
Yeah, but 2 final thoughts. I would agree with Philly. I mean, the focus, the limelight is on Clifford. It's a one-man team and a one-man forward line. Clifford to drive Kerry on. And you underestimate the other forwards. Gainey has been working hard, not scoring. Paddy has been quiet. Shawnee is just coming into form. But you look at that match against Tyrone where Clifford had an off day, and yet Kerry rattled 2-18. But one final thing on the Dubs. I was doing player profiles for the Sunday World, and it was only after finishing on the player profiles for the Dubs that suddenly I was writing a lot of the time, not as good as he was in 2019. And I look at the Dub players that won the 6 in a row, and you say, have their standard dipped? Have their performances dipped? And I looked at Fitzsimon, Dave Burden, Murchan, Niall Scully. Their performances have certainly dipped. They're not as good as they were
Scully's been very
2 years ago.
Yeah, but
that's what gives me hope that Kerry have a better chance than I actually think they have.
Look, and you've got the best free taker in the game now as well. I mean, the Dubs daren't foul anywhere inside 55 metres. It's going over the bar. Yeah. I mean, it's Kerry against... I mean, I was so struck, Pat, when I went down to yourself in Rosario, a few months ago. I think it coincided, with the Munster final. Kerry Cork.
Isn't a bad form, Joe? Cullen was in Kinmare 2 weeks ago, never called for a pint.
I was there for an hour, Pat.
Cullen can't drink.
He can. Yeah, you're right.
I tell you, he's the cheapest date you'll ever bring out. But what was so striking about that's true. What was striking about Kenmare was just the Kerryness of it. I'd never seen this before. They had Kerry flags on the Garda station, and there was a Kerry sticker on the Garda van.
On the Garda van.
and like Sean O'Shea came strolling down the Kenmare Main Street, and he's a big boy, like he's 6'2" or 3, and so respectful and modest, and everybody in the village chatting to him as he went past about the game coming up. And am I right?
Actually, Joe, the locals in Kenmare were intrigued because the Saturday was the day of the Kerry Cock match, and Joe arrived to the Roopty Bar in Kenmare with his laptop at 2:00. He sat under the television and he filed his Sunday Independent match report 6 hours later from the same spot.
I never bought a drink. I couldn't buy a drink. And then I eventually said to the barman, "Look, let me get a drink." He says, "Under no circumstances." He says, "Under no circumstances, Derry man."
That's brilliant. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Like, I could chat to you all day, but I know you've got better things to be doing. And final things today, I think, congratulate Colm again on the Talton Cup. Congratulate Pat on the Game on Sunday podcast and Joe on the Free State podcast. So there's your little plugs as well, boys. It's been great. Yes. Have you enjoyed getting together again?
Brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We hope we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Fair play. Yeah, it's great to have the three of them back, lads. Thanks very much for joining us. Yeah.
Joe, Pat, and Colm, first names only. Thanks a million for coming on. It's been great.
A pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I am delighted to welcome to the studio one of my favourite comedians, actor, and definitely my all-time favourite one-man indie band. It's Mr. Michael Fry. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm your favourite one-man indie band. There's more than one.
Yeah.
But, all right, thanks for having me on.
You're completely freaked out that you're on a GA show here.
Yeah, I think, yeah, who cancelled? There must have been like 100 people pulled out before you're like...
You're on the season finale here. This is big. Like,
I mean, the week of the All-Ireland final, you pick someone who knows the least of it.
That's the idea. That's what we developed it. We developed it on the basis that, like, let's do things that are different. Like, let's have the crack. GA world, the media GA world, probably disrespecting saying this, it's a bit stiff.
It's going straight at me there.
Yeah, it's a bit stiff. So, I'm delighted to have you on,
Yeah. I know you're in a rush, though, because you've got a big photo shoot to go to now, like, as well. This is superstardom now, is it? Like, is this indie superstardom or just comedian superstardom?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of photo shoots.
Are you not?
No, not at all.
What's your typical pose? What would you be?
Well, they make
That one is the
move in a
arms
really
closed
weird
like
way.
this.
Yeah, it's that one, but also
Or
like
the jersey pulls the
they
back.
make you do you move forward and you're like hunched over in a really weird way, and it looks really strange, but then it looks good on a picture. You know?
Okay.
Because it's like comedy, like you know, you can take the piss. Whereas if you were a Dublin player and you were like, you would actually look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah, that's if it looks bad, I'm like, yeah, I did that on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just, I'm being ironic about it. Yeah.
So, this is the question I wanted to ask you before we came on. I was like, oh, I'm holding this question. What's your best piece you've done today?
Oh, that's a hard question, actually. I don't know. I think there's ones that I think there's ones that people say to me all the time. So I think Nadine Coyle's Passport is probably the one that comes to me all the time.
Very good, yeah.
And the one I'm probably most proud of was the Jackie Weaver Read the Standing Orders.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like very soon after it happened, and I was like, I need to get this out by close of business,
Right.
or it's not funny anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So in terms of like stuff I've done in a really short space of time, probably that.
So
yeah.
as soon as something like the RTE situation, the one you done there, like on RTE, like how long does it, like you see, right, there's a soundbite there, there's a story, there's attention to that.
Yeah.
You jump on it straight away, and how long does it take you to build something up?
Oh, it's
Before you answer that, because you're writing a song, right? You're writing the lyrics, you're writing the music, putting it together. You're being a one-man band, so you're having to do the different tracks, I assume.
Yeah.
And then you're editing this Unreal video then as well, which I assume takes ages.
that's the longest bit.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't do the lyrics now. I take the lyrics from everybody else. But yeah, it's as long as if I get enough to fill a song with, then I'll go at it straight away, because otherwise, like, the moment's over, particularly viral moments. With the RTE thing, I was like, because I'd seen the Manny McGrath clip, and there's probably enough in that on its own.
Who are you lying to?
So, but like when I knew Ryan Tubridy was going to be on, I was like, well, there's going to be something here. And then there's obviously like he's some great quotes in that, you know, that I probably lots of them I left out, I would say. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, right, no, we have to go with this, because it's everyone. People ask me as well. People are always like, where is it? You know, so I'm like, right, I better do it. Like,
A lot of pressure. Like,
it is, and there's times when I'm like, I'm literally busy or I'm away, and I'm like, I can't, but this is great, like, you know. So
make us laugh.
Listen, I was that fella. Like, I was like, get him the new one for Breaking Ball. Get him the new one. I was like, as if it's just like when you're a kid and you had the press play and record button. And
Yeah.
As if it was that easy. I was like, oh, sure.
He was saying to me last night, I was like, I'm pretty sure it takes a bit of time to do
Yeah,
it.
it
you
take
said
like
that.
14 hours, like there's ones I spent ages on, and they're just it's a nightmare.
So where did it all come? Where did it all start from? Like,
I don't know. I can't remember what. Oh yeah, I wanted to do some, because I like playing with music anyway, and I was kind of like, oh, I'll release some music this year. I was messing around like 2021 when everyone was bored, and I was like, I need some lyrics. And I was like, you know, doing things where I was reading like ingredients of crisps or something, and just as placeholders, because I'm really bad with lyrics. And then I had the transcript of the Ethan McGregor voice note on my phone, and I was like, right, well, let's see if that works. And it did, and it did really well. And obviously everyone was at home. It was a particularly depressing lockdown when they'd cancelled Christmas and everything. And I think it went everywhere. So I was like, right, I guess I'll do more of these. And because I had nothing else to be doing, I just did loads of them within like the space of 2 weeks, and then
it just fell through opportunity, like
pretty much, and boredom, and yeah.
Was your genre always indie? Was it, or were you just into all types of music?
I think that's probably my era. I think I went to a lot of music festivals in like the 2010s, so I know how they all behave on stage or whatever, but it's the kind of music I listen to all the time, so it's kind of what would come out of me naturally. It's stuff that I think sounds good. So
Speaking of photo shoots, you have that sort of down as well, like those little looks to the camera and stuff. As an indie person.
Where you're so cool, you look pissed off.
It's such a character. Like they're total different. Like videos to what you're like. The energy.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not good at all in real life.
Have you any ambition on like? I know you're kind of. It's nearly like. Do you wait for the next big thing to come up, or have you like? Do you have ambition of going, right, I think this will be the area I'll go after next?
It just depends.
Songs.
Up. I think it literally. Yeah. It depends. It has to be relevant. It has to be topical or whatever. Occasionally, I do get people sending me viral videos that I haven't seen. There was one I did with Ronnie Pickering, you know, the guy, the road rage guy.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of that before, and I was like, this is hilarious. I'm gonna do this. And it happened to be the 5-year anniversary of that clip. And same with the Come Dine With Me one. It was 5 years since that happened.
Oh right.
So it just they happened at really opportune times where just suddenly everyone's thinking about it again, you know.
Have you any in your head that you'd like is any videos that stick out in your head?
Amen, that's out of order. Amen, that's out of order.
New ones I'm talking about. Is there any videos you've seen?
I thought you meant his video. Yeah. Any video I think of now is just Michael Fry only an indie band.
Yeah.
I love what ones do I like actually?
There's one I haven't been able to do, which is What's Snots from the Den. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a clip from the Den where this kid it's like a guessing game. It's like 20 questions, and this kid has no idea how it works. He doesn't understand. You have to guess what the object is, and he keeps asking, Snots or the pig, asking him questions like where he got his glasses and stuff. And then eventually the producer the presenter's laughing so much, he's just like, he's both get bikes. I don't care. Like, it's just like I'm laughing so much at this. I feel really bad.
What about the one that was the most famous Dublin one, the one here, leave it out?
It's too short.
It's too short.
I can't make.
Mix it in with something.
I think we got him on here now to make the request.
Yeah, we're doing little mixes here.
Would you ever think of?
I'm sure it was done at the time because I remember that woman was.
I have it on a dance song because I own a gym, and there's a real good dance tune, and then all you hear coming through is here, leave it out, and you just look around, and you see everybody laughing. It's But I'd say it's been remixed with loads. But
she was. I remember her going to when I was in college. She was in the Palace, and everyone's like, "Oh, the here, leave it out" woman's in like the Palace or T2 or somewhere. I was like, doing what? Like, I guess. Just saying the word.
There going, here, leave it out.
Let's talk about your famous sporting career.
Oh, my sport! Oh,
we are in the midst of a Meath Athletics Schools legend here.
Right.
High jump legend, bronze medal at the Meath School Athletics back in the day.
Yeah.
And a quote from his old Instagram, his old tweets.
Yeah.
Inexplicably good at high jumping.
I don't know what it was. It was just that. I'm terrible at running. I'm really.
You don't have to explain. We're gonna just do it in front of the camera.
I was singing a new song
onto the sofa.
Yeah. I was all right at it. I don't know. I was that and I think discus as well. So I must have had strong core muscles of some kind. I don't know, but yeah. For some reason, I was good at that, and then I went to, the Santry Schools thing, and I did that, and I came 5th or something.
It's not community games, is it? No,
I think it's just a schools thing. I remember there was every year we used to have to fill this thing out at school, so teachers would know you or that kind of thing. And one of the sections was achievements, and because I was in a sporting school, I had nothing else to say. So I was 5th in the North Leinster fucking high jump. I was like, that's not an achievement.
Did you ever try play Gaelic football or?
I tried, yeah. See, my dad is big into it, and
right.
my older brother wasn't very good, but. I am terrible at it. I'm really bad. I couldn't solo until I was, I would say, 9 years old. Really bad. And I felt so ashamed when I couldn't do it. And it was obviously it's a really basic thing as part of Gaelic, and I just couldn't fucking do it. And I don't know, I just found it very boring as well. And everyone at the time when you're a kid, everyone just seems to be mad all the time. Everyone's so upset with each other when they're playing. So it was just you go every week to Gaelic, and there's just people shouting at you all the time. And it's I fucking hate this. I don't want to be here.
And is the family big Meath fans or?
We're not actually. No. So my dad's dad was from Kerry, and my dad grew up in Salford in Manchester. And I think they were involved in there's a GAA club up there. I think my granddad would have been very involved in. And I think my dad thought that your Gaelic team was hereditary in the same way as your soccer team. So we were Man United fans, obviously, because my dad grew up in Salford. But then we were Kerry supporters, even though we lived in Meath, which is really it doesn't work that way. Gaelic doesn't work that way.
I didn't know this.
I'm really sorry.
Same colours.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was so we supported Kerry, even though everyone else is Meath, so everyone just fucking hated us. So it just
blamed them.
It didn't. Yeah, my mother's from Donegal as well, so kind of when they're on.
You like the colours, don't you?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Green.
So I don't know. A second cousin of mine is actually on the Kerry ladies team, Kaylee Cronin.
Oh, cool.
So there's talent somewhere in the family, but it doesn't lie with me. I don't think. So
musical and comedy,
yeah, I guess.
You had a nice Wolftones jersey on one of the videos.
I did.
Videos too well.
Yeah, our club would have been. I think we went to Simonstown in Meath.
So you supported Wolftones?
No, I literally bought that because I was going to dress as Waluigi in Mario. So I had this idea that I'd dress up as Galuigi for Halloween. So I bought who was purple GA colours, and I was fuck it, I'll buy a Wolftones half set. So I just I've no connection to the club.
That is That's a lot of detail to go in for a Halloween costume, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, I think this is during
A bag over the
lockdown
head
or-
type, and the ghost thing, like, you know.
Yeah, but you did have. Remember lads used to dress up as like GAA players for Halloween. It's like that's a cop out. Come on.
Yeah, I should
you
have
know?
done it. Dressed up
Yeah.
as a player. The best one I had was, and I don't know if did you ever read Anne and Barry books?
No.
No. Oh my God, that just went over everybody's head there. There's people listening, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I had Anne and Barry in school, but
Oh, Anne and Barry.
Anne and Barry.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I dressed up as Barry.
That's hilarious. That's good.
I didn't have an Anne, but like I had these dungarees.
Oh.
That was the only effort I went into for Halloween. Like,
You probably had different books down here. He cut us off up north. We have a different education system
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
so it might be
yeah.
different books. But we'll not get into that.
Yeah. No, we won't.
I'm trying to think of names that could be going across the northern spectrum.
Yeah.
Like that'd be Anne and Barry. What would you say?
I don't know. We had Bill Nye the Science Guy. Did you have him back in the day?
Gil and what?
Bill Nye, he called him Bill N-Y.
Is he American though? Is
Yeah.
that like,
Gil
okay.
Nye.
Yeah.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
I don't
Here,
know.
that'll be a good song for you.
There you go. And it in.
But we do have you on here because your GA research has come in handy for a bit of content for
Oh,
us.
very good.
Here we are. So this is an old tweet of Big Dirty Fries. You can follow him on the socials.
Yeah.
Remember when GA jerseys just didn't fit? Even the sleeves were bootcut in 2000. It was like wearing sports robes. And you're so right. And I actually found an old picture of a young Philly McMahon
Oh,
in
jeez.
2008. Now you're filling that out well, Philly, in fairness to you.
Oh,
Like I do
yeah.
remember
Baggy.
those jerseys. They were very...
You got it tucked in as well. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
my one question would be like, is there not like wind resistance? Do you know,
Yeah,
did it
that's
not
so
slow you
true.
down somehow? Because you're basically wearing a parachute.
Well, if you have the wind on the opposite of it, pushes you down the pitch.
Oh, I guess.
Back,
yeah.
No, but the crucial part was people pulling out your jerseys.
That's
so
what I was thinking.
every
yeah,
time
yeah,
you
yeah.
tucked it in, the referee would see it being pulled out.
Yeah.
And also agreeing with your tweet, they were so baggy. Like,
Yeah.
but like, I
2008.
think the Northern lads started to change it with the tighter jerseys.
Yeah, Armagh started getting really
Armagh
proud of their
done it.
physiques and they just,
Yeah, so, geez, that's an old picture, yeah.
but it's like it's not even that old. Though, that's the thing.
Oh,
It's like
but you're
these
making me
jerseys-
feel bad looking at that. Like, you didn't have to do that today. I was feeling good. I feel old now looking at that.
Oh, hang on, make you feel better. There's two.
That's
2002. Colin Cooper, unbelievable footballer.
Look at the socks.
Not renowned. And the socks are another
The
baggy.
socks
element
could
to
go all the way up to his shoulders, I'd say.
Like his gear must be like half his body weight there.
Oh
Like,
my
that's-
God.
Yeah.
you can imagine it was raining. Those socks.
He's wearing
were
the
a nightmare.
skirt
Did
as
you
well.
talk about, like how your shirt should fit and how the seam should end at your shoulder? That's halfway there.
That's so true.
That is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is a brilliant picture.
Yeah, and then I started going down sort of memory lane of jerseys. Remember 2003? These monstrosities came in, then the blended
Oh,
jerseys.
I remember those.
I think Dublin had one as well. Like they all had
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I just thought this
Yeah.
was really cool. We'd blend them in. And I'll tell you what, I have both of those jerseys. I thought the Wexford one was good.
I do like the Wexford
Back in
one, to be fair,
2003.
you know?
I got it. I remember getting it in the charity shop.
I don't know what to think about the Wexford jerseys.
I think I've grown up now. and
As
I think
kids, you
it's
used to go,
not-
oh, the yellow bellies. And
Yeah. But speaking
Yeah.
of Waluigi, there you go. Look there.
there you go. There's
See,
your
that's
purple.
what I was like.
Your
Will I buy a
purple
Wexford jersey? It's like, no, it doesn't make any sense. So I thought,
That would be
club I'm not to do
ridiculous.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. There we
Yeah.
go.
And then the only other jersey related content I have is I wrote an old article back in the day.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think you look back now and be like, geez, I was such a gimp. This is for Joey before
Yeah.
I put these two jerseys at the top.
At the top.
I put the Meave one number one. I remember getting so much abuse thinking.
Must be getting free Teo or something, right?
Yeah, that's what I
think-
would think.
I think the
immediately, yeah.
sponsor just like sort of clouded
Have
me,
much
like,
more.
that's a cool
Do
sponsor.
you know what? The me jersey is actually much darker now.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
sometimes I think
Darker.
counties need to respect the colour. I don't like when
We,
Ireland does
we're
it
not
well
sky
with the
blue
shade.
anymore. We're like a bright blue. Like it's much nicer colour than the sky blue.
So when you had the navy sort of stripes instead of the white stripes,
Yeah.
I thought that jersey was gorgeous. I had that at number one the year before, and then you changed to the white. That's what got me back in the number
Yeah.
one spot. But people didn't like that because it's Dublin, and you're allowed to like Dublin things. But I was like, it's objectively a very nice jersey.
I think this one is the nicest one.
Yeah.
The nice one I played with was the 2013 jersey.
that was a nice one. That had the Vodafone sponsor
Yeah,
as well. That
that was
nice little
nice.
bit of red in there. Like,
Yeah.
But it's subtle. I mean, it's not. I don't know how that's top because like that's
look.
so gaudy.
You had to
big
go like
Mr.
a box,
Tato, like.
a box is salt and vinegar.
7 years ago, like it's funny because I remember at the time people criticising me, saying like, "What are you talking about?" And I didn't. These boys don't have a clue what they're talking about. And I was looking back through the list, being even the top 10. It was like, what? There's no clear order or anything. Like, I can say I've grown up now. Look at me. Look at the stylish man.
So, any hope of doing a GA one soon?
A GA song?
Yeah.
I've done one.
Did one.
I did one for the All Ireland final last year, which was Jimmy Slyan from Mayo. Who's
See that one.
he is he's I would say a pundit.
Oh, you man at the bar?
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
I did. So I spell his name and everything. Yeah. So
I did.
I did that last year, and that seemed to do well.
Well, what I'll do is like I'll just go around like recording people
Yeah.
on Sunday. Like I'll Michael Murphy, I'll just stick a recorder in his mouth, and Oisin McCon will just take a lot of sound bites.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Which is
joking.
well-
Don't have to.
In my head, I'm like, yeah,
It'd
I'll
be
leave
so
that
cool. Just show me how to do it.
I'm just resisting the urge to sing the Jimmy Slyan song. Like, I feel like such a loser. Like, I'm here, but I know all your songs. Like, I love all your lyrics.
I actually bought a Mayo jersey for that.
What?
And then took it back like the next day.
I was gonna say something disrespectful, but I won't.
No, I bought it. They were selling them. I was in Cork at the time. I was filming like a TV show, and I went to Cork, and there was like this random Elveries that had one Mayo jersey. I was like, well, I'm buying that, obviously. And then because I didn't wear it, I just took it back the next day, so it was grand. I didn't have to.
There you go. Kept
Anyway,
the tag on it.
yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Love
yeah.
it. Love it.
So what's are you actually now performing? You're doing live shows as the indie band?
No, I'm not. I'm actually just doing comedy.
Okay, yeah, just regular comedy.
So I have I have songs that I do just in my set that don't exist online.
Yeah.
Just because there has to be a reason people
What do you
see me
mean?
or whatever. So, but yeah, sometimes I will end depending on where I am. So I did Nadine Coyle when I played Belfast, or I've done the Tony McGregor song that does really well sometimes. And then,
The change.
yeah. That one,
Coinage.
Coinage, yeah.
Brilliant.
So it depends on where I am.
Yeah.
That I'll change up the ending song or whatever.
You could do a whole album on McGregor's, like.
Probably, I think we've 2 or 3. Is it 3? 2. I think we've 2 at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait for something else to happen, and then
A new documentary out now on Netflix.
Yeah,
so
there
making
is.
some more
right.
content.
Yeah, I also don't want to do too much in case because he is quite a
Problematic.
dangerous person. So I mean, he's a professional fighter, so I probably don't want to piss him off too much, realistically. So
Yeah. Did you ever get people kind of pissed off at you doing stuff about them, or?
no, I mean, actually, Tony McGregor had shared it on his own
Did he?
story. So
Wow.
people when they find it out, I know Twink has seen her one and enjoyed it, I think. And then I did Fuck You Deputy Stag. So
Oh, yes.
Paul Gogarty
doll.
has seen that. He enjoyed that. So I mean, yeah, it's I'm not doing anything that people haven't actually said out loud. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if I'm making.
You'd want to be a bit of a dry shite now if you gave out, wouldn't you? Like.
Well, even you give out
Yeah.
publicly anyway.
Yeah.
You might be raging
know.
about it. But, suck it up.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like, what's these games? I'm worried. He hasn't even told me what the games are here.
So,
Yeah,
well, now I've got an understanding of why you're so good at your accents.
Okay.
Because you give me a little sort of run through there of where your genes are from. All
Yeah,
of that,
that's
like, so.
quite a weird mix of accents.
I used to wonder how were you so good, even at the intricacies of the North. Because, if somebody tries to slag my accent, they immediately go to a Belfast accent.
Oh, I'm
And that's my trigger. Like, speaking of dry shite, I'm like, it's not even close. Like, it's an hour and a half up the road. Like.
Yeah.
But you're very good at them. So I was thinking again, we're doing a Philly versus series.
Right,
And
okay.
we've done
Yeah.
4, so this is the tiebreaker
I'm
now.
not winning this one.
It's 2-2. Philly has 2 points on the
A
board.
Ballymun accent. Happy with that, and that's what I'll give.
Yeah, well, that's where we can start. I suppose we can do. You can do a Ballymun accent,
Okay.
and if Michael does a better Ballymun accent than you, I give him
Oh,
the
I
point.
don't know.
So I'm going to be the judge here, really.
Okay.
Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
you can start it off. Whatever you say, he has to repeat it back.
How's your ma? Is your dad working?
How's your ma? Is your dad working?
Jeez, that's not
Is that
bad.
good?
It's almost more believable.
It's nearly there, but yeah,
All
I'm
right.
the judge. So.
That's 1-0 to Philly.
We go down Michael Murphy's shop to get a pair of gloves.
Wow,
Oh,
that's very good. He's got the nice.
Go down to Michael Murphy's shop to get a pair of gloves.
Yeah, I mean Belfast.
That
Like,
wasn't bad.
no, that was like,
All right,
go again, do it
Isn't
again.
the general direction?
You go in and you go
Go
again.
down Michael Murphy's shop to get a pair of gloves.
Went down to Michael Murphy's shop to get a pair of gloves.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty decent. Yeah, but it's 1-1.
Well, we're going to have the better accents, so this is a shit game. Right, come on. What
To
are
be
we
fair,
going
this
for?
is my job. to be
Yeah.
fair. It's like, I don't know.
Go.
Where are you strong?
Ballymun accent.
Belfast.
Oh, Belfast, no.
Half of your
really.
come on, you got Belfast roots.
I'd just do the Donegal accent again. What would it say? Come to Fairhill, Ballymena Shopping Centre, hey.
Come to Fairhill, Ballymena Shopping Centre, hey. I don't know.
That's bad.
That's
That's bad, boy. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
All right, 2-1, Michael.
I do
Fry.
love Northern ads. It's kind of how we got our, like, it's kind of how me and my brothers and stuff would have gotten our accents.
Yeah,
from, I think a lot of those, like that one of only VIPs get into Cookstown for sausages. Yeah, and then there's absolutely horrific car crash ads as well, where they're awful. But, yeah,
dog.
Unbelievable. Do you remember there was it's only fresh in my mind because I ended up showing my fiance who's from Dublin recently, but there was an ad for the Troubles that was like 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
Oh, the Cats in the Cradle one.
Yeah,
that's
I
that's
get
a good
goosebumps,
ad.
like, that song is like ruined for me, you know. Like it's a great ad, but
Yeah.
just like imagine growing up watching
Yeah,
that as a
ad for
child.
the
I never
Troubles, yeah.
think anything of it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
she works in psychology, so I show her up, and she's like, "Huh."
That's the, I wonder, are we desensitized to that sort of stuff?
Maybe.
You know, I was talking to this girl from Virginia there, and she was saying, like in not in Cavan, in the US, and she was saying she was doing her driving thing when she was like 17, and they show them Irish car crash ads because they're so graphic, and they're all like shaking afterwards, like, you know. So as we grow up with, like, you know, that horrific one, the Fleetwood Mac song, and like the Samantha Mumba song, they're just so. They're awful.
Why would you let your song be a part of it? Like, you just ruined the song.
Yeah, exactly.
You would, yeah.
Can we do Kerry?
Dublin are going to win by 10 points.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Good.
Go ahead, Philly.
Dublin. Oh, I can't even do it.
You're just doing a Dublin accent.
When I say Kerry, I get a bit sick. Like, you know. I'll try to put it. Dublin are going to win by 10 points.
That wasn't bad.
It was all right. Yeah.
I'm going to give you the point, Philly, for the effort.
That's
yeah.
tokenism. Would you give over as well better?
Derry.
Oh, I go to Derry.
This is the winner. And this is the one that I can actually judge.
You have to say, come on, Derry. Kevin. That's a random word at the end of that sentence, but that's what you have to say. They don't say Anne. Go for it.
Come on, Derry. Kevin.
I have this. I have this.
You have it?
Come on, Derry. Kevin.
No.
Yeah, say Kevin.
Kevin.
So I won.
Michael Fry's been great having you in.
Thank you very
Only
much for
thing
having
you have
me
to
on.
do
You better bring the keyboard next time.
Oh, well,
before you say bye, who's going to win the All Ireland?
who's playing? It's still, I know it's something. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Kerry here. I have to.
Yeah.
Why?
I have to say it.
Kerry, man.
I mean, yeah, obviously, just out of loyalty, I guess I have to say I would want Kerry to win, but realistically, Dublin will probably win because
You've just got
how many in a
taken
row,
out.
I don't know.
You've got taken out of my top 10 Bebo friends now.
Shit.
You're gone. Anyway, Kerry won it last year.
Did they?
Dublin
Okay,
won
right.
6 in a row, and they haven't won 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Philly's been filling our heads now about how hungry they are and how.
Yeah.
Come on, the
You would want to. I mean, you've half the population in the county. So I mean.
I'm going to have to wrap this up
lot
before
of-
he gets fighting. Thanks a million for watching. Thanks a million for watching all 6 episodes. It's been absolutely great. Philly McMahon, thank you. This show has been brilliant. Fair play to you. You're a visionary, and we're going to come back bigger and better next year. Michael Fry, thank you very much.
Thanks very
Anything
much
you
for
want to
having
plug? I know you've got a couple of shows tonight and tomorrow, but let's be
Yes.
honest, the show's going out in 2 days' time, so nobody's actually going to be able to go.
No, not at all. I am playing the Edinburgh Fringe from the 15th to the 28th of August. So if you're in Edinburgh during those 2 weeks, please come and see me.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
And if you have any requests for songs that you want Michael Fry to do, just hit him up on Big Dirty Fry. He'll be receptive to all your requests, any and all your requests.
Yeah, yeah.
It only takes 2 minutes.
Available.
Anyway, thank you very much, and we will chat to you next time.